Okay. Alrighty. Let's see here. Starting off with Fizz and Histog again. Okay, so solutes move across a permeable membrane. Aquaporins. Yeah, I kind of talked about this already, I think. There's passive and active transport. Simple, facilitated diffusion. Yeah, we already know all that. Okay, lecture 3, study guide. Okay, intermediate filament. This is filamentous structure like keratin in hairs or in the nail. It provides tissue specificity, helps in cell type identification. GFAP is expressed only in astrocytes, and neurofilament protein is expressed exclusively in neurons. I am not sure what all that means. Can I join the army? Yeah, I can. I can, in fact, join the army. Microtubules, building block tubulin, polymers formed. Oh. You think so? Thank you. Yeah, I got this haircut. I wasn't trying to be rude, by the way. But it was funny, like, can versus will. Can I join the army? Yeah, I can. Will I? I don't know. I mean, it's a very noble thing to do, I think, but well, um, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to risk killing other people, you know? And that's what militaries do. That's what wars do. And what if there's another Christian on the other side of the battle, and I shoot him, Then I just killed a homie, And so that's not my idea of a good time. But thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. Anyway, microtubules. The building block of microtubules are tubulin. Polymers are formed from heterodimers of the alpha and beta tubulin. These provide structural support and provide the basis for several types of subcellular motility. And then this microtubule grows more rapidly at its plus end. Positive end, I guess. The phenomenon of switches between growth and shrinkage every minute is called dynamic instability. So sometimes it's growing, sometimes it's shrinking. GTP hydrolysis, which is guanine triphosphate, whereas ATP is adenosine triphosphate. Yeah. Alternation between growth and shrinkage cycles. Whether a microtubule grows or shrinks is determined by the rate of tubulin addition relative to the rate of GTP hydrolysis. As long as new GTP-bound tubulin molecules are added more rapidly than GTP is hydrolyzed, the microtubule retains a GTP cap at its plus end and microtubule growth continues. However, if the rate of polymerization slows, the GTP bound to tubulin at the plus end of the microtubule will be hydrolyzed to GDP. If this occurs, the GDP bound tubulin will dissociate, resulting in rapid depolymerization and shrinkage of the microtubule. This helps in providing the force needed to separate chromosomes during mitosis. Okay, then there's dynein, which is like a motor to power cilia and flagella. No, I'm not a teacher. I'm just trying to study this. And I'm making this video. Maybe I'll watch it back, but maybe I can help some other people learn as well. That's the goal of this. The Nexon arms restrict the extent to which neighboring outer tubules can move with respect to each other. Yep, I'm a student. That's right. A time machine in my basement. Well, I don't even have a basement, but anyway. Dynein and kinesin provide the force necessary to move membrane-bound organelles through the cytoplasm along microtubular tracts. And then there's kinesin-bound vesicles, which move from microtubular minus ends, and they originate at the centrosome, which is toward the plus ends in the axonal terminals. This direction of motion is referred to as anterograde fast axonal transport. Dynein-bound vesicles move cargo from positive towards negative, which is basically from the periphery to the cell body. That's retrograde transport. Or maybe retrograde transport is transport of damaged organelles from the periphery to the lysosomes in the cell body. I don't know. Both processes, yeah, they both need ATP. Who is Han from Stray Kids? I don't know that. I don't know who that is. Yap. I'm yapping. Thin filament, microfilament. Okay, this is a polymer of actin. It's not like tubulin, because tubulin uses GTP, but actin uses ATP to grow at the positive end, while ATP hydrolysis into ADP disassembles actin at negative VE end. I don't know what that means. This is called treadmilling because the length of the F-actin filament may remain constant and the polymer may continually grow at its plus end but disassemble at its minus end. The thick filament in the thick filament, myosin is an example of a motor protein. It makes ATP to bend and assist in muscle contraction. It has helical tails, I guess, and globular head groups that hydrolyze ATP and act as motors to move along an actin filament. Okay, back to organelles. There's lysosomes, which are like the trash digester of the cell. They have digestive hydrolases in them. They remove damaged cellular structures or bad bacteria. Okay, and then there's peroxisomes. They contain oxidases instead of hydrolases. What they do is they oxidize very long chain fatty acids to shorter chain fatty acids, and they convert cholesterol to bile acids. That's why cholesterol is necessary. I mean, there's many other reasons why cholesterol is necessary. There is the plasma membrane. They're in the plasma membrane. They are crucial for hormone production, like testosterone. And skin, I think. I might be wrong about that. Skin. H2O2, so hydrogen peroxide catalase in peroxisomes detoxifies poisonous substance, like alcohol in the liver. Okay, now on to mitochondria. These are ATP production, or ATP producing organelles. There's a double membrane structure on the mitochondria. Okay. Makes ATP from ADP. And then there's mitochondrial DNA. They have their own DNA. And it's from the maternal side, that DNA. This mitochondrial DNA is circular and it's self-replicative. Replicative, I guess. Self-replicative. It replicates itself. And it encodes for a small number of proteins. Most mitochondrial proteins are made from nuclear DNA. Okay, on to the ER, the endoplasmic reticulum. There's rough ER. There's a large number of ribosomes on the outer surface, and those ribosomes are made of ribonucleic acid and proteins. They make new proteins. Then there's the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. This contains enzymes for the synthesis of many lipids, and it contains cytochrome P450 oxidative enzymes, which are involved in the metabolism of drugs and toxic chemicals like ethanol and the synthesis of hydrophobic molecules like steroid hormones. Okay. Then there's the Golgi apparatus. It is prominent in secretory cells, mostly involved in modifying proteins produced in the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and is involved in sorting and distributing these proteins to the lysosomes, secretory vesicles, or plasma membrane. And then it participates in post-translational modification of proteins, which what that means is it adds the sugar, it adds the phosphate groups. Okay, and then the cis end, which is like on an organic molecule, cis means it has a configuration that's like this or something. Both I forgot what they were called, but there's like two molecules heading in the same direction, versus trans would be this way. And then the cis end receives immature protein in the vesicles from RER, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, while the trans end secretes mature proteins in vesicles for subcellular localization. Okay, endocytosis is mediated by clathrin and calveoli. Clathrin and calveoli. Clathrin mediates the formation of secretory vesicles that bud off from the trans-Golgi Golgi, as well as the internalization of the membrane from the cell surface during the process of endocytosis. Calveoli, however you say it, facilitates clathrin-independent endocytosis. Okay, and then you have the nucleus, chromatin, nucleoli. Everyone knows about all that. And I probably don't need to know 99% of this. Anyway, next, nutrition. Okay. Palatability. So, dogs like canned food over dry food. I mean, who the heck would eat kibble? You know what I mean? Compared to a steak. Why would you eat kibble when a steak is available? I don't know. But, yeah, dogs like canned food over dry food for many reasons. One of the reasons is it's warm. Not always. Sometimes it's warm. They prefer warm food over cold food. They prefer beef over other meats. And they like foods with a higher fat content. I guess this is more of a list. Cats prefer amino acid rich flavors, and cats are less responsive to sucrose. They can't really taste sweet things because I don't think they have salivary amylase. But sucrose isn't a starch anyway, so I don't know. Okay. Now, fat and texture increase palatability, which increases the risk of overeating. There's a lot of stuff on here that I don't necessarily agree with, but I'll come along that as I get to it. Highly palatable diets can override satiety. It's probably mostly because of leptin resistance, because of sugar, any carbohydrate. And then owners often select diets based on perceived taste appeal. Picky eater pets may be conditioned by variety and treats. So that's why they're picky. And then there's marketing, which emphasizes palatability, like fat sprays, flavor enhancers, stuff like that. Okay, moving on. More food is eaten in the presence of other dogs. Like dogs will eat more when there's other dogs around because they feel like there's competition. But dogs also mimic the food choices of other dogs. And dogs adopt owner food preferences. So whatever the owner buys for the dog, they're probably going to prefer that first versus other foods. Apparently, high-fat foods are weak satiety. I don't agree with that. Well, I guess it's debatable, really. They bring about efficient fat storage. Again, debatable, in my opinion. But there's also a risk of obesity. It just depends on the context. Protein promotes satiety and influences preference. Fiber increases satiety. Yeah, but it's not necessary. And it dilutes calories. Fiber is useless, in my opinion. Well, it's not useless, I guess. It decreases the absorption of sugar. So if you're trying to keep your blood sugar low and you're eating a bunch of junk food, like a bunch of sugary stuff, if you eat a bunch of fiber, yeah, it'll help with that. It'll keep it more stable instead of having a giant spike. but just avoid the junk food. Problem solved. I mean, sure, sugar addiction. I'm a sugar addict, so I completely understand. But yeah. Anyway, there's also meal timing and frequency. Pets quickly conditioned to feeding times, and they secrete more gastric secretions, and their stomach starts moving whenever it's getting closer to their expected meal time. They'll start to anticipate it, right? They'll get restless, they'll start begging, get excited. Anyway, then there's ways to feed pets, portion controlling, 1 to 2 meals a day, etc. Might feed more if you got a skinny pet or a puppy or whatever. Portion controlling. There's some advantages. You can observe whether they like the food, because if anyone's hungry, they're going to eat, you know. But if they're not going to eat their food, period, there's something wrong with the food. It also strengthens a bond with your pet because, as morbid as it is, they'll associate you with food, you know. And I don't know. I don't know if that's even the right way to think about it. But anyway, it's also they eat quick. Dogs eat quickly, and then they fast intermittently. They do intermittent fasting. The disadvantages of portion controlled feeding are they require more time and effort. It might be difficult to know how much you feed. What is a cup? What is a scoop? You know, you gotta. It's variable measurements. It's less convenient in multiple pet homes, and it's not really ideal for cats apparently because they eat throughout the day small intakes of food. Okay, then there's free choice. This is where food's always available. Usually it's dry food because dry food doesn't spoil as quickly. I mean, it spoils, but it takes a long, long time to go stale. That's the thing. It goes stale. It doesn't like start to fester. I don't know. I've never really seen it go bad. But anyway, it's convenient for the owner. And you just fill the bowl back up when it's empty. Advantages of this is that it takes less time and effort. You don't have to measure anything. It eliminates begging behavior. Allows multiple pets to have access, and it may reduce stress or boredom. The disadvantages of free access eating is that there's limited portion control. There's a risk of these animals getting fat, and it's hard to monitor appetite or intake. Then there's timed feeding. This is like 1 to 2 meals a day. You know, you offer the food and then you take it away after a time. Like after 15 or 20 minutes, you take the food away. This isn't a very good feeding method, in my opinion, because gluttonous pets may just try and eat as much as they can because they know the food's going to be gone. So I got to eat because I don't know when I'm getting fed next. Obviously, they don't know that you're going to feed them again, but, you know, it's probably not a good idea. Then there's hand feeding. This is like if your animal is on death's door, because otherwise there's no reason to hand feed your animal unless you just want to. I don't know. But requires a lot of time and effort and may lead to under or overfeeding. And it encourages dependent behavior, which is probably not something most pet owners want. Now, these are relevant to clinics because calculated needs don't equal what the animal realistically needs. And then if you combine free choice feeding with palatable diets, you get obesity. So you got to be careful with that. Yeah. Okay, there's many types of pet food. Many types of commercial pet food. Dry, semi-moist, wet, frozen/refrigerated, and freeze-dried. So, kibble, dry food. It's most common. It's convenient, economical, cheap. Most sustainable. Okay. And it may help with dental health. I don't know about that. But it might not taste as good, and there's not a variety of flavors and textures. Semi-moist foods, highly palatable, still convenient, and there's varieties of flavors. Disadvantages are that it's expensive, usually high in sugar and salt, usually less common depending on the store, and usually not very good for the environment. Wet food, highly palatable, high water content, higher protein and fat, convenient, palatable. Again, flavors and textures vary. Disadvantages, much more expensive, shorter shelf life once it's been opened, high environmental impact. Frozen food, palatable, variety of flavors and textures, usually appeals to clients because they're like, oh, it's like human food. And usually it's fresher, whole food nutrition. Disadvantages, even more expensive. Requires special handling and storage. Short shelf life because it's refrigerated. Now, if you put it in the freezer, then it's debatable. But it's got a high environmental impact because it's like one package per meal. And then there's the risk of pathogens because it's freeze dried. They when they dry it, they let it sit somewhere, I think. Could be wrong. And there's kind of just a reviewing list. Okay. There's retail commercial diets, and then there's veterinary exclusive or therapeutic diets. The retail ones are available over the counter, formulated for healthy pets. Includes puppies, kittens, adults, seniors. Now, the veterinary exclusive ones, though, are made for specific health conditions and must be used under the direction of a veterinarian, usually as adjunct therapy. Found everywhere. These retail diets found at grocery stores, general retailers like Walmart, Target, farm supply retailers, big box pet exclusive retailers like PetSmart, Petco, independent and regional pet exclusive retailers, and then online retailers like Amazon or Chewy. But the veterinary exclusive diets are sold usually by veterinarians. And they can't be marketed to consumers. They need to be prescribed, I think. Okay. Retail diets. Yeah, that's just a comparison list. Okay, treats. Treats are not the diet of the animal. They should not exceed 10% of total daily calories. Because it's usually junk food. They're not complete or balanced. This is usually in the form of human food, dental treats, rawhides, and foods used to give medications. Like you might wrap a pill in some cheese or some bacon or something like that. What's wrong with these foods? Well, they have a lot of calories usually. Thank you, Gideon. And sometimes you can, like if you've got a dog that's on a low sodium diet and you're feeding it a high sodium treat, that's not necessarily good for your pet. Yeah, it's unfortunate. In this broken world. Anyway, there's a lot of foods that you probably shouldn't feed animals or cats in specific. According to this chart, I can't show it because it's not my resource to show, but I don't really agree with a lot of this stuff on here. They're saying like 100 milliliters of milk is equivalent to 3 donuts. Yes, I'm a Christian. I just don't know if 100 milliliters of milk is equivalent to 3 donuts for a cat. Or like a tablespoon of heavy cream is 1.5 donuts. I don't know about that. Now, 2 teaspoons of yogurt, 2 donuts. I don't know about that. That's crazy. 25 grams of tuna equals 2 donuts. I just don't know about that. 43 grams of liver pate. 7 donuts. It's ridiculous. If you feed your cat a bowl of milk, that's probably fine. That's what I mean. I don't see anything wrong with it. Some problems you may have, though, are diarrhea, probably. That's about it, though. I don't see it being a problem. Unless, your cat starts getting overweight, then, I mean, it might have joint issues, but I don't see how it can get, yeah, it's just sometimes, right? I don't see how it can get fat if you if you give it some milk sometimes. I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, 25 grams of chicken fed to a cat is apparently the same as 2 donuts. Again, I don't know, because first of all, chicken and donuts are not comparable at all. It's junk food versus a food that's got one ingredient, which is chicken. I don't get it. I do not own any pets actually right now, but my dad does. My dad has a lot of cats. Anyway, now there's another thing here for dogs saying like one 190-gram rawhide bone is apparently equivalent to 7 donuts. Well, okay, so they're probably looking at the calorie comparison. Because one rawhide bone is like 700 calories. But again, 700 calories in donuts versus 700 calories in a rawhide bone, it's not really comparable. Because you've got basically pure sugar, and then, well, I don't know what a rawhide bone is made of. So, but it's just not comparable. And then they say other stuff. I don't know about that. Fresh diets. Okay, these are controversial to some people, but actually they're pretty good. They are, there's a lot of research. Oh yeah, I posted a video 2 years ago about alcohol. I did, yeah. I think drinking alcohol is not a very good idea. It's it's kind of like drinking gasoline. I mean, why would you drink something that's flammable? It just doesn't really make sense. No, I don't drink. I have drank before, but it wasn't like drinking. I've sipped alcohol. I regret it. I mean, it never really tasted good anyway. It tasted like, have you ever had overripe strawberry? Yeah. Yeah, drunkards Well, there's actually a Bible verse. Let me. I'll get back to that strawberry example later. So 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11 says, "Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God." But, there is forgiveness too. So if someone in the past has fallen to that sin, but they want to be better, they want to turn around, they want to repent, they want to do the right thing, then I think God is very merciful to forgive them. Yeah. Anyway, overripe strawberries. That's kind of what alcohol tastes like to me. It tastes like, well, it's that fermentation. It gives it a very weird taste. Anyway, yep, we are all sinners. That is true. Yeah, it was very nasty. When I sipped it as a kid, um, I I'm not sure how people would um, drink it so often. I'm not Baptist. I'm actually a Oneness Apostolic Pentecostal. Okay. Do I think that we are saved by faith alone? Is that what you're asking? Or saved by grace alone through faith alone? Well, the Bible actually says we are saved by grace through faith, but it doesn't say we are saved by grace alone through faith alone. So not necessarily that we're saved by grace alone, but we are saved by grace through faith. Anyway, I gotta finish this. This nutrition stuff's getting kind of boring. Okay. Fresh diets. These are usually homemade, sometimes cooked, sometimes raw. This is like the farmer's dog, Freshpet, stuff like that. But then there's home cooked diets. You can make your own pet food. You just got to be careful. You got to formulate it correctly, make sure it is good quality and it's got all the nutrients your pet needs. Maybe it's more palatable. It avoids additives, preservatives, chemicals. And usually, if you're making your own diet, you can ensure that your pet is getting good nutrients if that's what you're feeding it. The benefits of that, again, owners control what goes into the pet's meal. And it also helps with food allergies and intolerances. There's less preservatives, possibly a higher nutrient value because it's tailored to pets' needs. There's no contaminants in it because you're using fresh ingredients. Anyway, there are some drawbacks to home cooked diets though. Sometimes they're deficient, and usually there's poor client compliance. If you prescribe a home cooked diet to a client, they might feed it if they're disciplined, but I'm eating this, I'll just give it to the dog too. Because maybe they start to mix human food with their dog food. I don't know. Why not let your cat hunt for some food? I mean, that's a I don't see anything wrong with that, but then you'd have to let your cat outside, and outside cats don't live as long as indoor cats. So it's just a trade-off, you know. Yeah, it's probably you'd save some money, you know. Um, wouldn't buy as much food for the animal. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, cars are one of the biggest reasons that outside cats die. I think. I mean, I'm not. I don't have any. I don't have any evidence to prove that, but I assume. I assume that's why. Another drawback of a home cooked diet is that it's time consuming, expensive, and could be bacterial contaminations or toxicities in the food. And it's inconsistent. It varies. You know, whenever you're making food, you got to make it again some other time, and it's not going to be exactly the same. It had bumps and stuff all over it, like scabs. Well, that sounds like it had some skin trouble. Wow. There's also limited research right now for home cooked diets. A lot of mistakes some people make when they're making their own home cooked diets is they get unverified recipes, or they're feeding special populations like pregnant or nursing animals or young or growing animals. And then there's calories versus volume. Usually, like, oh, it's just going to be more meat. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, that's the majority of what dogs and cats should get is meat, because they're both basically carnivores. I mean, dogs, it's arguable. Dogs, it's said that they are, yeah, fat cats look better. There is a body condition scoring scale, um, where one is like emaciated skeleton cat, nine is gobby fat, um, roly poly looking cat, five is, it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like normal looking cat. You can't really see the spine still. You can feel it. You can feel the spine, you can feel the ribs. You just can't see them in a 5 out of 9 body condition score. I think that's how it is, at least. I may be wrong. And the problem with animals as they get fat is that they they just have all these health issues that come about. Diabetes, heart conditions, they have trouble getting around, joint pain, arthritis, um, stuff like that. And then what is Sophia learning? I'm not sure what that is. Okay, and then there's the way you prepare foods. For example, a baked potato versus a boiled potato. There's 20% more potassium in a baked potato. Sweet potato versus a white potato. There's 60% more calories in a sweet potato. Wow. Okay, and then this might be helpful for you guys. There's a website called balanceit.com. And apparently you can use that resource to formulate your own diets. Balanceit.com. Okay. Commercial diets versus home cooked diets. Basically, commercial diets are more convenient because you don't have to make them. Home cooked diets are probably healthier, but they take more time. And there's a couple other things to worry about. There might not be nutritionally balanced, could be food safety issues, inconsistent nutrient profile in that home cooked diet, possibly. But in a commercial diet, it's consistent every time because it's made in a factory, right? Okay, pet food labels. Oh my goodness, how long does this go? 27, 8, 27. Oh, I didn't have. Yeah, okay, 28. Wow. There's a lot here. Okay, do I know what causes dogs to get itchy? There's a hairless spot on it, but above the tail. Um, well, I don't know yet because I'm not a veterinarian yet, but I am in my first semester of vet school, so I'll be a veterinarian in like 4 years. But sounds like possibly a nutrient deficiency, but I don't know. Again, this isn't medical advice. I'm not even a doctor yet. I would obviously, I mean, you've probably considered taking it to a veterinarian, but that's expensive, so I understand. Just could be allergies, could be nutrient deficiency, could be yeah, could be could be fungal. Um, there's something in humans called seborrheic dermatitis, which is almost like psoriasis, but I think it's basically an overgrowth of yeast or some kind of yeast on your skin, which makes it itchy, usually in the scalp. Um, Maybe it's like that. I don't know. But the hair loss, I don't know. It could be all sorts of things. Could be fleas, could be, I don't know. And really, like a veterinarian would probably have to see what it looks like to be able to tell you anyway. Um, you know, with a, it's very hard to tell um, just by symptoms. Usually veterinarians will take a blood test or something, then they might be able to tell from that, or they'll palpate the area, which means they'll feel around. Maybe like I don't know if it were an infection, maybe the lymph nodes would be swollen, stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. That sounds horrible. Um, if I were you, and if I had the funds, I don't know your financial situation, but I'd consider taking it to a doctor if it's a problem that you're really having trouble with. A veterinarian, take it to a veterinarian. Okay. So here is something that may be very helpful for a lot of consumers buying dog food from a store. Ingredients lists, pet food labels, regulations, etc. So pet food labels are legal documents. The FDA and then states regulate them. They require the name of the product, the species, the net weight, manufacturer name, guaranteed analysis, protein, fat, fiber, moisture, ingredient list, etc. Now, here's something that may be helpful. If the food says something like beef dog food, then that means it's got to have greater than or equal to 95% beef in the container. So if it just says beef dog food or something along those lines, it's probably majority beef. Now, if it says something like dinner or formula or entree, like chicken dinner, chicken formula, chicken entree, then it's going to be below 95. It's going to be somewhere from 25 to 94% chicken. It can also say chicken and beef dinner, chicken and beef entree. And combined, those two ingredients need to add up to somewhere in between 25 and 94. And it's the same for that top one too. If it says like beef and broccoli dog food. Broccoli. I don't know why. Anyway, now if it says with, so like dog food with beef, that it just has to be like 3%. It's crazy. So dog foods that you're buying that say with beef are like barely any beef. It's like greater than or equal to 3% beef content, under 25%, and greater than or equal to 3%. Yeah, it's that's how the companies get you. And then here's even less. If it says something like beef flavor dog food or chicken flavor, then it's just enough for flavor. Might not even be 3%, might not even be 1%. It's just enough to give it that flavor. What is filler? So it's a bit of a hard question to answer in some cases because some ingredients do provide some energy, while some ingredients provide even better energy and lots of nutrients. For example, corn. Okay, you've got corn. A dog's digestion, I'm already forgetting these words, it's crazy. Digestion tract? Why am I having a brain fart on this? A dog's GI tract. Basically any monogastric. They have a stomach, okay? The stomach is best optimized for digesting proteins. So usually, if you're gonna, here's the thing. If you feed an animal food with a lot of plants, they're gonna have a lot of poop. Why? What is poop? Poop is waste. Why is it waste? Well, what is in those plants? Fiber, useless to a dog or a cat, pretty much. They have basically almost no capacity to get any nutrients from that fiber. Some, but just not enough. They couldn't live off of it. And there's also anti-nutrients in these plants. Now, soy, again, there's also bioavailabilities. There's nutrient absorption differences. If you were to eat 100 grams of whey protein, for example, like that's the protein they sell in the supplement area of Walmart, whey protein isolate. That's just one of them. That is the most digestible protein that there is. Basically 100% bioavailable, I think, from what I understand. Now, soy protein, depending on the animal, in a monogastric, it's like, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's not 100%. It's probably around 50%, actually. So if you eat 100 grams of soy protein, you'd end up only digesting like 50 grams of that. Pretty crazy. There's a reason why it's cheaper. And there's a reason why whey protein is so much more expensive. There's a reason why steak is expensive. There's a reason why rice is cheap. There's a reason why beans are cheap. There's a reason why, all these different foods cost as much as they do. Okay. Here's another scam thing that manufacturers do. If you're looking for a pet food that is grain-free or something, on the ingredients list, they have to list ingredients from most prevalent in the food to least prevalent. Okay? Some manufacturers will split ingredients. So something could be made of 50% corn. But guess what? It's 10% corn hulls. It's 10% corn chaff. I don't know. 10% shredded corn. 10%. You get what I'm saying? They split it into different ingredients, but it's the same ingredient. And it's basically a loophole to make that food have 50% corn, and yet the corn's appearing low on the list to show that, this doesn't really have that much corn in it. Yeah, it does. And that can be detrimental because dogs and cats aren't made to eat that many carbohydrates. Nor are we, really. Anyway. If you're looking for a pet food, the principal protein source should be first or second in a canned food, and within the first 3 in a dry food. So, say it's like a chicken dog food. If chicken's in the first 3 ingredients in a dry food, or first 2 in a canned food, then okay, it's probably a generally good food to feed your pet. Now, there's some specific scenarios. I don't fully know everything about it yet, but I'll likely talk about it once I learn. But there's, again, what I was talking about, there's no indication on the label of the quality of the ingredient or the digestibility of the ingredient. And so you can't really compare diets using the label. Nutritional adequacy. Okay. Yep. It'll basically say like it's got an AAFCO standard that it meets or whatever. If it says that on the dog food, then you can feed that to your animal or your dog and they won't die of nutrient deficiencies, basically. Okay, summary, pet food, product guides. Oh. Man, yeah, there's all this stuff on here. Feeding guidelines, product guide. Okay, so some foods come with a product guide. It'll tell you like how to feed it, who not to feed it to, how much to feed, stuff like that. Yeah, most of this is, yeah, okay, that's it. Okay, that was it for nutrition. Finally, we are on CCC. Communication is important for veterinarian to client. We are wanting to reduce malpractice We are wanting to satisfy the client. We are wanting for everything to be a success, right? And it's communication's actually a procedure because it's basically an interview, you know? How's your pet? It's like, tell me about your pet. And it requires practice, experience. Our goal is to engage, empathize, educate, and enlist with the client. Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's not really. Hmm. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. The rest is kind of just common sense. Like, don't invade someone's personal space and stuff like that. Hmm. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty much all for this day, August 26th is the one I was doing, the notes I was doing. Yeah. I'll probably, depending on the time, I'll just end this live stream and start another one. I'm probably going to take a 15-minute or so break, though, because this is exhausting after a while. But then I'll do the stuff for August 27th. So, anyway, thank you for watching. See y'all in the next one, I suppose.